Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode from TCG353. I am Jamie and today we are playing Red Yellow Sabo, who has surprisingly really good matchups into meta decks, and if it doesn't work out like that then you can just tire your opponent out with infinite healing. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to subscribe, feel free to do so, and let's talk about the first game up against Purple Enel, the big bad of the meta. We choose to search. And just a word on these games, I'm going to try and comment exactly as I'm seeing here and not get too distracted by distractions as I did yesterday in my video. So apologies for that. Our opponent swings 5 into our life. We are going to counter that 1k. It's always good to counter with Triller Bark early, and even at times in these games you might see that I'll under counter just to get Triller Bark set up. We have a lot of Triller Bark in this deck, so it's actually useful to have it always in trash so we can get the triggers out. 6th on turn now for us. Our opponent played out a 4-cost Reiju on their turn. It's a shame we don't have Zeus in hand because it would be nice to KO that quickly. Didn't have that opportunity, so we attached 1 down to our leader, swung 6 and played out a Kiku. Our opponent played out another Reiju, which is fortunate enough that they don't have the Enel on the board, but it is kind of annoying that they have 2 blockers now set up, which will come into play later on in the game. They choose to swing 5 with that. We'll take that, get a trigger, which is draw 2 cards with the baby 5. And our hand is pretty strong now, but it is very bricky as well. Our opponent swings 7 into us, we take that as well. We're pretty happy to just be aggressive and take life as we can. Our opponent doesn't exactly luck out, but can use the Divine Departure there to get 2 more events in trash, so they actually are now a 7k Reiju, which is much harder to swing into. Of course, we swing 4 into their 2, 2 into the 2, 2 into the 2. That's how that was going to go. And we leave 4 down up so that we can play out a Zoro and trash. Now we consider trash into Kiku to get a Kiku in trash, in case we get a Gecko Moria trigger, something like that. But we choose instead for the Perona. We choose the Perona because we want to have 1 Perona as a trigger and 1 Perona in hand, because freezing these 6-cost Enels is going to be pretty relevant for us. Our opponent swings 5, swings 7, will swing 7 again of course, but they may also want to swing with their blocker. That's something that we have to be prepared for. We healed twice last turn, so it's not too scary for us actually, and we'll probably trigger out from life. So it's not all that terrible. Our opponent actually chooses not to swing into us, which you will often see when you're playing this deck, is that people don't really want to attack into you all that much. Play with the Gecko Moria, we deploy the Perona so that we can get the trigger straight away and freeze that Enel. We're not messing around with anything else, we'll just get that freeze in early. And when we play the Moria, we put the Moria in top of life, which is the bread and butter combo of this whole deck, absolutely. We then add the 2k power onto our Zoro, swing at, I believe, their blocker again, and they're able to counter out of that. We really just want to control the board because we can out-sustain quite a lot. They swing both their ohms into our Zoro. And I think there was a misplay at the start of this game where I probably should have swung into the ohm rather than swinging into the leader, because ohm was annoying. But we didn't, which is fine. Our opponent only minus 2k onto our Zoro, which was 8k, so it's sitting at 6k now. So we actually probably would counter and protect if we can, but we instead choose to protect life here. Will we use the trigger effect? We do have bodies in there, but rather it would be nice if they KO'd this Zoro so we could spawn it back with the Gecko Moria eventually. So that's kind of what we're hoping for. Also, to have that big body in trash is really useful as well. So that is the final consideration on that. Our opponent swings 5 into 1. Bit of a misplay. We probably should have used the Perona for counter here, so that we can use the Gecko Moria and then deploy the Perona to be able to freeze. And because we didn't do that, now we have like a different line to consider. We swing 8 into the 7. We are aware as well that they have very little counter because the way they've been kind of playing around some things. So we attach 3, we attach 3 to lead, put the Perona top of life, to get the trigger off and consider going aggressive with our Lilith, and we do. So we're able to take the 2 blockers off. Our opponent has very few cards in hand, which is very good for us. We have a lot of life, so we're kind of looking to stall and out-sustain. We also have a Perona, which will allow us to freeze that Enel, which is great. Our opponent chooses to swing 10 to 4, which I'm not too sure about, to be honest. We'll use that trigger to get out the Hogback. We have a Zoro and we have a Kiku in trash, so they're not really incentivized to swing into that Hogback at all. If they do, it's a big win for us. So it's fine, they do freeze it, but look, that's okay. That's just another card out of their hand. Unfortunately, because they used the Vari event, you know, that one that protects stuff, it's really KOs by power, so we can actually KO the Ragey blocker, which is very, very useful. And because the situation with our life is quite good now, we actually don't have to attach for leader ability, so we're just swinging 5 here. And we would like to play out ideally a Perona so we can freeze that Enel. So now they only have, they have 4 potential swings, but that would be 3 5s and a loaded 8 maybe, or 2 5 6 and 8. Basically they kind of have to, they can't KO us this turn because we've frozen that Enel. Even if we didn't, they probably couldn't anyway, but that's not the point exactly. We get a 2k out of life, which is useful for us. We get another Perona, which we do love to see. I believe we have a Perona in trash there. So we can do the Gecko Moria play again if we'd like to. We still have that Kiku in life, so you know that'll come about eventually, don't you worry. It would be nice to get the Rayleigh into life. The reason for that is because it can KO the Pedro, or the Senior Pink. Deploy the Perona, we have 3 life. I don't think it's too scary for us to not deploy it out. And also we have 4 life now with the Gecko, and with the Gecko we can trigger out a Zoro who will give us more life, and our opponent can't get the KO next turn. They could clear out the board, but it would mean that we'd just keep sustaining and we'd probably just out-sustain them forever, and they also have 0 life. So next turn we'd be able to swing, would it be 16? Yeah, 16, or probably 6, 15 and 7, which of course they can't get out of. So good game to our opponent. Let's go into another gameplay of a deck that was massively meta. You don't really see it played that much anymore. Doesn't mean it's not a good deck. It still is a very strong deck, and you can see here that they have pretty much the greatest start that a Boa Hancock deck can have, which is getting the old woman into setting up the Gorgon Sisters, trigger it from life, draw the card, get Gorgon Sisters on the board early, and then on their turn 2 get the 4-cost blocker to attach Arrestodon and set their life up. Like, that is pretty much the holy grail of openings for Boa Hancock. We just confirmed the reveal cards and they're showing us 3 bricks. That's just something to pay in mind for you guys that are watching. That may come in relevant later on, we'll find out. You just stick around. So we have 5 down up. We are going to attach 1 down, just swing. Lucky that they don't get a trigger out, that is fortunate, and we use the Zoro, trash the Gecko because we have so many in hand already, and we also have a Trillerbark set up. Trash that and yeah, be merry. Pretty much. We didn't get the trigger out with the Sindri, but we did get the next trigger out, which is useful. Our opponent can swing into the Hogback if they chose to with their blocker. They're refusing to swing with the Gorgon Sisters because they believe we'll swing into it. Are they right? Possibly they are right. Like, I definitely would swing into it. So, you know, that is one idea that they have, which is fair enough. I don't really rate it all too much. I think just swing with it anyway. And at the worst, it's a pseudo blocker. We attach 2 down onto our Hogback because we want to put it into life to get that triggered so we can play out a Sindri, and we play out a Sindri raw after adding 2k onto the Zoro. So Zoro is harder to swing into now for AK, and if they do wish to swing into it, we will absolutely let it go because we like having the Zoro in trash for the Moria. I think players are aware of that as well, so they don't swing into Zoro too much, so it does stick around quite often. Same with Kiku, but you know that Kiku doesn't really get swung into. Our opponent played out another brick, just keeping the whole brick narrative alive in your minds. So our opponent still has those 3 bricks they showed you there. Could have a 1k or a 2k in hand, or another brick, who knows. They set up the top of their deck, so I presume what they're gonna have is a bit of counter. As you know, we're gonna let that Zoro go. We could defend out of it, to be fair. They'd eventually get it, so we'll just hold the counter. Because we're going to be playing with the Moria, and the Moria will allow us to do some fun, cool things. Sindri plays out sideways. We'll actually give him counter for that because it would be useful to have it as a blocker. If they swing 7 into it, that's totally fine. And now we are in Moria territory. So we have 9 down now, so we can actually use the Moria ability immediately, or leader ability with Moria immediately, which is good. We'll use the Kumachi, put it at top, swing 6 into their life. We still have a Sindri on board as a blocker, so we're actually in quite a good spot, even though it might look a bit scary. Our opponent there is incentivized to take the block because it makes it that we don't trigger out a Thriller Bark from life. They get lucky enough as well there because they are able to put a Kiku into our hand, so we can't actually get the win there. Very good trigger at the end. We get a Rayleigh and we can KO one of the Gorgon sisters. We wouldn't be KOing the Nami because they could just flip up a life and maybe they have a Borsellino in hand or something like that. But we can KO the Gorgon sisters, and their leader ability doesn't come off because we have 0 life. The reason we didn't use the Moria last turn is because we felt confident we could survive because we had the blocker, and we know they have unblockable events, but we had 2 lives, so we felt comfortable, basically is what I'm saying. We were confident enough. I think we had 6k counter with 2 life. We would have been fine. So we're swinging 6 here now, setting up for leader ability, so it'll probably go 6, 10, maybe keep some Dom, maybe keep 1 down up for the what's that card called? The Lilith. Our opponent doesn't have counter up now, so we're just kind of considering here, will we play with another Moria and sustain ourselves for next turn, and we just go for it? We go for it. 9 plus 4, that's 13. Our opponent would have had to have like 8k counter, something like that, but we could discount at least 2 cards in hand as bricks because they didn't play Perfume Femur at all that game. And they had another brick, so they only had 4k counter. So if they had 2, 4, 6, 8, if they had all 2k counters with 4 cards and not the last 2, we still would have been fine. So 13 was kind of guaranteed. Good game to our opponent. Let's go into the next one, which is a funny game because our opponent has the same color as us, 1. So I wouldn't say exactly the same game plan, but along the similar lines, that they do want to sort of outsustain and outlast. Their power manipulation is better than ours, but our board control, our board state, and our swarm is stronger. So in the early game, we probably have a large advantage because we can fill the board quicker and get them down to 7k faster than they can play out their like EB4 Zoros and their 9 cost or 10 cost Luffys. 5 down now, we will play out the Hogback and attach it onto lead and swing 6. See if they take, see if they block. They decide to block and get the draw off there, which is good for them. They're playing out a Zoro then to follow up on that, and I presume they're going to be swinging 7 at us, which we will most likely take. We do have the Thriller Barks in trash, so we're kind of happy to be taking those hits. Kikunojo is just such a good piece to see. We have the Don to be able to use Kikunojo, attach it onto it, and attach it onto leader, while also searching. So we search out that Hiyori card, which actually is a really good combo piece in the Gecko Moria loop that this deck can do quite well. We'll swing 6 first. Our opponent takes. We'll swing 7. Our opponent may take. If they took a 6, I'd imagine they'd take a 7. And we'll end their turn just like that. The Kiku now is active, which is great, and our opponent's leader ability is not. So if they swing into us, we're of course going to take because we want to get that Kiku on board. If they swing into Hogback, I think we'll just trigger out a Sindri, unless we have something else that I'm not seeing in trash. If we had that Hiyori, if we'd counter out that Hiyori, that'd be great. Our opponent uses 5 cost Borsa and sustains themselves another turn. Surprise, surprise. And swings 9 into our 6. They use their leader ability to minus 1k there. So will we take? Yeah, we take, and we trigger out the Victorious Sindri, and that is standing. We take the life from life. Of course, we take the life from life. You know. And Sindri standing, and now Kiku is up as well. So we have that Kiku loop online, which is pretty fun. Just thinking now on how we want to split up Don, because the plus 2k power will be useful, definitely. It's just Zoro will most likely be the one we'll use, just considering whether we want to use the Hiyori as well, or whether we want to save an extra Don and maybe use the Sindri. So we'll attach 1 here. We have 7 Don now, so it kind of looks like a Sindri move. Yep. Or we can go the 7 that you saw there, and then 6. Yeah, give some Don to Garp. Play out the Zoro. Swing 7 first to check what counter they have in hand. They take a while to think about this, so I'd imagine that they're pretty bricked up. Yeah, I'd imagine that they're pretty bricked up. 10 cards in hand though, like you'd want 1k counter, 2k counter at least. So it seems like they're in a bit of a bad spot. It would have been smarter actually if I had sped this up a little bit. Because our opponent thinks about not getting hit quite often. I'd definitely counter this. I don't think it'd be valuable to use Borsalina as a blocker here, because it can probably go aggressive next turn if you wanted it to, because eventually you'll be able to defend. So our opponent does give us 2k, so it kind of signals that they don't have much counter in hand, which is shocking actually, because they have 9 cards in hand. Now they have 10. Plays out another Borsalino, so they did have 1k counter, and they play out the Nami, who makes us take a card to life, which is a shame because her card was a Kikunojo. Swing 6 into our 4, they can have that, no problem. We still have a 2k body if we did want to swing with it anyway. Now we have the Moria loop active thanks to a very lucky pull off top. Just checking to see what we actually have in hand and whether it's worth our time to do it. It most likely is worth our time. We want to swing 6 first. The reason for this is we want to get them to 7k so that we can start swinging into that Zoro. Swinging that Zoro is probably a better line for us, to be honest. Put the Hogback onto the board just to be that little bit more aggressive. Put the Moria top of life. Swing 7 into lead and swing 8 into lead as well. Yeah, it actually worked out there quite in our favour. Opponent must not have counter, or else they're saving it for when they can become a 7k leader with the likes of the EVO4 Zoro or that card there, the 9 cost Luffy. As you know, this deck, the Red Yellow Bonney, is a bit of a late game menace. Like now, on my turn, it's a 9k leader, which is hard to swing into, even though I have like the 2k power available to me. Set the trigger out and we play out a Hiyori. Hiyori is a really cool card in this deck, because with the Moria, like, it allows you to have essentially like 3 lives. I'll explain that there now. We'll just find out what we're going to do. We're going to swing big. We swing 11 into their 9. They could get the block off here and just take that, but they choose not to. They use their event and give us a 1k. Or was it just the event? Yeah, it was just the event, because that event is 4k. If you have 1 or less life, or else 2 or less life, I'm not sure. We kind of mucked up the order there, right? So we would have preferred to put the Kiku into life, for sure, because it can trigger back out, you know. But the Zoro's not the worst thing in the world either. We'll swing 12 into the 9, because they won't be able to get a free block off it. They'll have to give us a block and a counter, or else they can take if they'd like to. But no, they will give us block and a counter. So we're kind of starting to whittle down their hand size now. They'd have to play out another Luffy if they want to go 7k again, or that Zoro. And our board state's pretty nice. We have that Hiyori that'll allow us to heal again. The Zoro will come into hand as well. And we do have pretty good counter, 2, 4, 6, 8. Our opponent uses a Raigo on the Sindri, so I'm not too sure what that's about, to be honest. When they did that, I was fairly confused, to be honest. It didn't make much sense to me. Like, that's a positive trade for me. Maybe they just didn't want me getting a free block off and wanted to go aggressive into life. Maybe they just presumed that because we're not really countering much, we don't have counter. It's hard to know, really. But alas, they now are in a position to swing 12k, and that's all. But they think about it a bit, and they don't. Yeah, this is wild. I don't fully understand that. Maybe they're afraid that I'll swing into the Luffy. I hope they don't think that Luffy's a blocker at this stage, though. They should probably know their deck. What we can do here, right, is we can swing 9 that you're seeing there, then attach 2 to our leader, put the Hogback into life, use Zoro to trash out our Kiku or Perona. When the Hogback is then in life, we can trigger out the Perona to freeze a body. That's most likely the line. That's a pretty nice line. Or we could just raw play the Perona and guarantee a freeze. They use the event to draw a card, so they get that trigger off. We'll now swing 7 into leader, and because they have another down up, we're just going to go. We could just go 12, and maybe we can get them. But they do have that event up, and we're just presuming they have another 2k, so we might as well just sustain ourselves one more turn. That is pretty much what this deck does, is just outlast people. So yeah, it is the Zoro, and we'll trash the Perona. Could be wise to trash the Kiku, to be fair, because the Perona can be counter, but we didn't, so there you go. There you go, yeah. And they sort of have to play a blocker down now, or something along those lines, to be able to defend. And we also have that Hiyori that allows us to trash a card, so we could probably go 6 life next if we wanted to, but we don't really need to. We'll take the Moria from top there if we want to sustain ourselves a little bit. Our opponent gets frozen there, which is pretty nice. We get the Kumachi trigger, so we have the Hogback out now. So we're in a pretty great position. We didn't even use the Hiyori, and our opponent just kind of calls it there. We nearly triggered out we nearly used the Hiyori there and lost the game, which would have been very silly. We'll take the Moria trigger at the end, or we'll take the win off him there with a 16k swing. We could have also just swung 8 afterwards as well, so we were never really worried that wasn't going to go through. Good game to our opponent, I think so anyway. It's just that we were able to outsustain them, and I don't think they were so lucky in the hands that they were dealt. But good game. Let's talk about this next one up against Green Mihawk. Our opponent, I remember at the end of this game, plays uniquely that I don't know if they were really good or really not good. You can tell me in the comments afterwards. So starts off, we'll search out a Kiku, and then with the Lilith we'll search out a Kiku. So we got 2 now, 1 to play and 1 to trash with the Zoro. So our first play will be the Kiku with will be a raw Kiku, and then it'll be Zoro out. And with that, then we can start looping the Kiku into life, which is so strong in this deck. So you're going to see the real potential here. It's actually quite nice. Opponent uses the Supernova event for no reason. But I thought maybe they'd have a Paradise Waterfall or something, but no. We actually choose to use the Zoro first, which is a bit of a misplay, actually. But I think it all works out the same anyway. So yeah, it's just one less power swing rather than 9k or 7k power swing. Oh no, 7k and 8k. Yeah, so it worked out better that way. Our opponent has taken enough life now that we are able to Bounce or spawn this Kiku in. They swing 6 with the carrot and we'll take that, get the trigger. They have frozen the Zoro, which is a bit of a shame, but look, what can you do? And they use the Bonney that freezes it on. So we actually can't use the Gecko Moria next turn, which is sort of what we wanted to do. So we'll do a little pivot and we'll see what happens after this. We do get a Gecko again, but as you know, we don't have it, so we can't use it. And there is a line here that we can use the Garp to swing, but we could also freeze the carrot, which would be very useful. So maybe we'll just freeze the carrot. Like I think that's probably best, to be honest, rather than just going uber aggressive into their life, because they've taken enough life. They also get the Luna trigger off of the Garp, so we're not going to be able to do that anymore. But it would have been a 9k swing into them, which actually would have been quite good. On turn 5 they would have had 1 life, and we would have had a Kiku in life to be able to actually threaten lethal next turn, which is kind of crazy. Opponent swings 6 into our 5. We'll actually give them 2k for that. We've frozen their carrot, so that 6 is pretty much all they're getting off. And this, yeah, so our opponent actually does use the Mihawk trigger. Okay, this is my first time watching this video back, and you'll see here now when I start typing in a second that I just get very confused whether or not the opponent uses the Mihawk ability to freeze. I thought they didn't. Yeah, I was just so confused. Eventually, anyway, maybe not this turn, but I do get confused in this game. Just a warning. We played out the Moria, but we didn't have a trigger in life, which is a bit of a blunder. Still having that Moria online and getting the loop going is pretty strong, so it's not too bad, to be honest. There are worse things to happen in the middle of a One Piece game, because that Moria can trigger out either a Kiku or a Zoro, so it's not that bad. And we have a Moria in hand as well, so we can take that trigger and use a Moria next turn, and all will be well. We still don't have a Triller Bark in life though, so that's something to consider. Use a trigger effect here, and we'll take out the Zoro or the Kiku. See, we have Kiku in life, so we're not too keen. Like, we don't need a Kiku exactly at the moment. Use the Zoro effect to trash a Triller Bark, so we have Triller Bark set up now in life, which is good. And we are at 5 life when our opponent is at 1. Fortunately enough for us, we get the trigger out there, and our opponent can't really swing into the hogback because it would mean that they can't. They'd spawn out something that we want to keep. We actually protect this Perona because they're after freezing so much of our board already that we do want to keep some things alive. And here now our opponent probably will swing into that Perona again. Nope, they choose to swing into the Kiku, which into our life, which is very good for us. Now we have a frozen Perona. Wow, yeah, they froze a lot. Wow, I thought this guy played uniquely, but really he's just playing good. I don't know what I was thinking. So we're going to play over one of the no rested. The reason we're actually doing that is because we want to put it back in the trash. So we want to set up trash even more for that. So we're going to swing 6 now, see what happens, and then it'll be putting a Gecko into life and giving. We could either swing a 5 and a 6, or we can just go big, and we choose to go big. We swing 9 into their 5. They'd have to give us a counter card and an event. But they kind of make a little bit of a blunder here that they use the Mihawk ability, but they don't kind of like follow through on it, I guess. So they only go 2k. But it works out fine in the end. They search out a Trafalgar Law next, so they pretty much get to use the ideal combo already. They play over one of their cards with the Bonney without even caring about using the swing of it. Maybe they just don't want to give us life, I'm not too sure. They could be choosing to starve us out this game because the Moria will trigger out something, absolutely. And we're just checking to see what we do have triggers live, and we do, and we're going to take it there now. Considering using the Hiyori for a second, and choose not to in the end, we'll just take that Kiku, because the Kiku is a 6k swinger and we kind of do want to swing big. Taking the triggers now is useful because they're going to start freezing stuff, so if we're able to trigger our bodies faster than they can freeze them, we can actually just sort of be aggressive. Get the trigger with the baby 5, that draws into 2k and a 1k, so 1k counter up. Let's go. Our opponent uses the Electric Luna, that's it, yeah, Electric Luna. And on the last swing that they swing into us, we get another trigger, post Luna, which is great. Could we have survived next turn if they didn't swing? So our math is nicer now to against our opponent, whereas it would have been a bit scary last time. So they used their Mihawk and a 1-cost event. We still would have got the game, by the way. That's what I want to mention here. We still would have been able to get the game. So swing 9, they take the last life, and we swing 9 again with leader ability. So if they didn't trash that law, then they would have had 2k and 2k there with the Mihawk ability, I think, or else just 2k and 2k. So we would have got the win anyway. So good game to our opponent. They made a little blunder, but so did I. Just little small errors, but it was still a great game and shows the strength of this deck that is so confusing and so infuriating to play against, and I really think is a very strong deck for OP16, given that this 8-cost Blackbeard is a nuts card and Shiryu can be bounced back to life as well. Wow, that's going to be an incredible combo. So start practicing this deck if you want to try an off-meta rogue deck in the next set. Really fun. It's going to keep the Triller Bark staple because it works so well with Triller Bark. It works so well with Kiku as well, as you can see, and the Zoro is very, very good. It just outsustains every deck and takes decks into deep water. But don't be surprised if you play games and both you and your opponent are near close to the end, Thanks very much for watching anyway, everyone. It's been great to be back on the horse and recording videos. Love hearing you from the comments. Make sure to leave a comment, leave a like. Let's chat. If you want to keep on watching these videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It is very much appreciated, and without saying too much more, I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.